Good evening, everyone. I'll call the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, June 13th, 2024, 6 p.m. to order. I'd like to ask Danny Lance from True Life Church if he'll come forward, provide our invocation, and lead us in our pledge, if everyone will stand.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful tonight, grateful for our wonderful city and our neighbors and community around us. We also, Lord, your word tells us to honor those that are in positions of leadership above us, and we do that tonight. We thank you for their hearts of willingness to be public servants in times that are not always easy times, I'm sure. And Lord, I pray tonight for wisdom. I pray for patience, and I pray that each and every issue that they deal with tonight will be dealt with in a way that is for the good of the community and for each and every individual. We ask it all, Lord, in your name, in Jesus' holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Mayor Williams,
Here.
Vice Mayor Haynes. Here. Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Tyler.
Here.
Councilmember Witt. City Manager Miller.
Here.
City Attorney Litchford.
Here.
All right. I will do my best to not call you Miss Middleton. Keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She's a little under the weather. Couldn't make it tonight. So the first item on the agenda is the Milestone Awards. This is where we recognize employees that have reached a milestone anniversary with the city. We have 2 in the month of May. Eric Chadwick, Police Department, 20 years. Andre Ballard, Sanitation, 10 years. So we appreciate their service along with all the service of our employees. It's what makes our city as good as it is, and we appreciate them and everyone every day. So we'll move then to the next item, which is the consent agenda. I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. It is the approval of the minutes of the May 23rd, 2024 council meeting and the approval of April 2024 financial report. And I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Tyler and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion?
I have one
Yes, sir.
correction.
Correction?
Yes, sir. Find it here. Thought she's gonna bring us a copy.
I have a copy.
Oh, you got the copy? Well, you can go ahead and read the correction if you'd like to.
Okay, I will, thank you. Basically, instead of Councilmember Cagle thanked Reverend Danny Lance for allowing the schools to hold graduations on the Action Church property, the reading should be Councilman Cagle thanked Danny Lance of Local Coffee as well as Action Church and the city for allowing the local schools to have their graduation ceremonies on their properties this week.
Yes, sir.
So that language would like to insert, and I'll hand this to the acting city clerk so we can put that language in there.
Is there a motion to amend the minutes?
Yes, sir. I make the motion to amend the minutes as read there.
I second the motion.
All right, we have the amendment to the minutes, motion by Councilmember Cagle and a second by Councilmember Tyler. So I will take, any other comments? So I will take roll call on the amended minutes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Haynes. Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt. Yes. Mayor Williams.
Yes. Then we'll fall back to the original motion and we'll get a roll call on it.
Vice Mayor Haynes. Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt. Yes. Mayor Williams.
Yes. All right, we have that passed. Now we'll move to communications of citizens. This is an opportunity for any citizen to come forward and address the council with any questions, any concerns, or any accolades. We don't have anybody signed in, but if there's any citizen in the audience who would like to come forward, now is your opportunity.
None are signed in.
Thank you. All right, I don't see anyone, so I will now move to communications with council members. Start on this side. Councilmember Cagle.
Nothing today.
Vice Mayor Haynes.
I would just like to thank the city and the council for sending beautiful flowers to my mother-in-law when she passed. Thank you.
Councilmember Witt. Councilmember Tyler.
Yes, the East Ridge Optimist Club had their fishing rodeo this past Saturday. It was a huge hit. We had over 200 kids participate in the activities. We had lots of fish caught from very little to very large. I think 2.5 pounds is our largest one caught. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Patriot Insurance, Professional Flooring Supplies, Jack's Bait and Tackle, and Bass Pro for their sponsorships. Without them, it couldn't have happened. Also coming up on July 13th, the East Ridge Optimist Club is going to have their car show for kids. Registration is now open. You can sign up on eastridgeoptimistclub.org. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Yes, it was a great time at the fishing rodeo. I have a few things. East Ridge City Library is having a stuffed animal sleepover for the children. It's going to be drop off on the 27th from 3 to 5:30 and pick up June 28th, 2 to 5:30. Registration is required and space is limited, so reach out to the library if you want to get your child enrolled in this. It's 423-867-7323. Then June 15th, which is coming up soon, Saturday before Father's Day, the Community Center is having celebrating dads with an annual Father's Day field day. So they'll be hosting this free special event featuring athletic activities and games for dads. East Ridge is hosting. It's a family-friendly celebration to special tribute to all dads of all ages. It'll be from 1 to 3. They'll be treated to hot dogs, chips, drinks while they last. There'll be yard games, a lot of fun to be had. Top Golf is supplying golf activity inflatables. So there's also going to be a challenge game, basketball game, at the community center. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So either call the community center, 423-486-2034, or you reach out to Hannah at hspear at eastridgetn.gov. Then, as always, we've got a lot of activities going on in Camp Jordan and our parking recs. So I actually was going to ask Shauna to come forward and tell us all the things that are kicking off and getting registration for.
Yes, Mayor and Council. For the fall season, we have adult softball signups that open on June 11th, which have already opened, through August 3rd. It'll be a 16-game season plus a tournament. Season will start on August 12th and go through the 9th. The team fee is $610, and teams can register through Turning Machine. We also have our flag football this year again, and we also have, I went out of order, I'm sorry. So our flag football, again, this will be our 3rd season of flag. Signups are from July 5th through August 18th. Season will be September 7th through November 19th. It will be grade levels, K through 1, 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th, and 6th and 8th. Registration is $85 a player. This includes your jersey, shorts, and flag belts. This year, we are bringing back tackle football. Since we shut that down during COVID, and now we are bringing it back. We have a new league that's in town, and we've all kind of combined and been working together. So registration is now open now through July 31st. It will be age groups 6 and under, 8 and under, 10 and under, and 12 and under. And this is a child's age as of April 30th of 2024, this year already. The fee is $120, and that includes their jerseys and their pants. And then we have fall ball. So we will have t-ball for ages 3 to 4 for boys and girls. The cost is only $35. They get a jersey, pants, and a hat. Season is from September 3rd through October 10th. Then we have regular baseball for your 6 and under, your 8 and under, your 10 and under, and your 12 and under. It will be $85 a player. That includes their jersey, their hat, and our DBAT sponsorship and partnership that we have. So that if you're not playing that day, you can take your kid up to DBAT, get 10 swings and hits in. The season for that will be September 3rd through October 29th, through the registration open July 5th through August 18th. Now I know why you wanted me to read all this. Then we have our rec softball girls. Registration is open July 5th through August 18th. Player age is as of January 1 of 2025, so we kind of play them up in the fall to get them ready for spring. Coach pitch, you'll have 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Kid pitch will be 9, 10, 11 through 13, and 13 through 16. The cost is $85. That includes your jersey, jersey, visor, and then your DBAT partnership. Then we have cheerleading to go along with flag and tackle. So signups are now open. They'll open July 5th, go through the end of August. You'll have cheer top, skirt, bottoms, palms for $110. And again, it will be grade level K through 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th and 8th. And then we have fall soccer. So soccer registration will open July 5th. You'll have your under 4s, your under 6s, your under 8s, and your under 8 through under 19. You'll have your prices will be under 4 will be 60, under 6 will be 85, and your U8 through under 19s are 100. We play all of our games at Camp Jordan. We also do regulate and play some during the week and some on the weekends. And if you need further information, you can go to our website at eastridgeparksandrec.com. Oh, and our fall festival is September 28th, and we are sitting at 80 vendors today in June. So that is turning out to be a very big event like it has been the past 3 years.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. You done it so much better than I did. All right, that's all that I have, so I'll hand it over to City Manager Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple brief updates on some of the projects we have going around the city. The Ringgold Road multimodal project is substantially completed. It's about time, so we can cross that one off as done. The East Ridge Animal Shelter, they're moving ahead. They've got a lot of trades out there working. The gas line's been installed. They'll be doing power by the end of tomorrow. Forming and pouring concrete this week, fence posts, paving to be completed next week, installation of the site stone, installation of the storefront, installation of the doors and hardware when the inside will be done next week. They got a lot of trades out there. They're supposed to be looking at substantial completion by the middle of June. They're not going to make that. I would suspect probably the first week or second week in July, they should be substantially completed with the East Ridge Animal Shelter. And then lastly, the North Mac Smith Road update. I mentioned it to this council earlier in the week. Give an update on that. EPB is scheduled to mobilize this week to install the new power poles and transfer their services, followed by AT&T and Comcast. And then Chat Gas will be scheduled the week after to mobilize and begin work on the relocation of the gas main from North Mac Smith Road, from Ringgold Road to the Budgetel on the east side. Then Adams Contracting will resume construction around August 1st and then have 270 days from that time to complete the project of the road widening on North Mac Smith Road. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, the next item on the agenda is old business, and the first item is A, resolution number 3557.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council to approve the nomination by Councilmember Cagle to the East Ridge Industrial Development Board.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Cagle?
I don't see him out there, but Mr. Larry Green.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we have a nomination of Larry Green, so I'll entertain a motion for this appointment to the IDB.
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Larry Green to the IDB Board.
Second?
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion? See none. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3557 passed, approved. We'll move to new business. Item A, is public hearing for ordinance number 1205, and then I guess we'll go ahead and read the ordinance as well.
This is the public hearing, ordinance 1205, an ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend ordinance 1028 to add an additional section thereto, being section 111 of Article 6, the supplemental regulations and exceptions in the East Ridge zoning ordinance.
Thank you, sir. I will open this public hearing. Mr. Tile, if you'll come forward and give us the information. This would be
Yes.
the first, well, we hadn't got to the ordinance yet. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Mayor and Council. City staff requested the East Ridge Planning Commission to review the following changes to the sign ordinance. These changes include regulations for lighting, storefront display, and multi-tenant detached signs. These amendments aim to add extra protections for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and visitors of East Ridge. The East Ridge Planning Commission reviewed and made a few changes to proposed amendments to the sign ordinance, which was as follows. The proposed changes remove the word canopy from the storefront lighting requirements, added non-flashing open signs exceeding 50% window space ratio, and not to exceed 2 foot by 3 foot in size. And lastly, existing businesses will have 60 days to come into compliance with the new requirements set forth. I know there has been discussion with Councilmember Tyler about the word neon lighting in that as well, as it pertains to one of the prohibited lights for the storefronts, and I think Ms. Witt has also talked with several of us about the storefront display to not be one individual paying to be in a storefront in a whole for the 50% requirement for signs and merchandise.
Thank you, sir. All right, this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in opposition or in favor of, this is your opportunity to come forward and address the council. Yes, sir. If you'll provide us with your name and your address.
My name is P.J. Patel. I live at 1023 South Seminole Drive here in East Ridge. And I have these bullet points. I want to pass it on to you.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
So this sign ordinance that is coming up, we definitely, as a business owners, we want to promote safety and welfare of the citizen or our customers. That's our number one priority, you know. At the same time, East Ridge is really an older town. It's had like, you know, buildings built in 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Most of these buildings are 30 years or older, right? So this new sign ordinance that is gonna come into place is gonna hurt a lot of these older building that was built at that time. Basically, you know, required, they had all the codes met, you know, the building permit pulled at the time of the construction. But this new ordinance will actually make them a lot of changes in their building because it was old in an old code. So they'll have to spend a lot of money in order to move around a few things in the store. So that is something that we really want to open up a discussion that, you know, this won't work. Even if the business owner want to work with this sign ordinance, it will not work for them because it's going to cost them a significant amount of money in order to make a few changes inside of the store to open up the storefronts. The second thing is, you know, limiting signage on the glass front would cause business owners significant amount of business loss, preventing them to promote the product they have in the store, and ultimately costing them, you know, loss of revenue and city some sales tax dollars, right? So we have some recommendation that we would like to, you know, put forward and have it for basically consideration. First and foremost, we would like to have basically a meeting with, you know, the city leaders and the police and fire chief. See what can we do to basically, you know, promote, you know, well-being of this sign ordinance and the customers and, the visitors that come through here. And the second thing is, allowing existing business to basically continue with their signage by grandfathering them in, that will be really important, because if we don't do that, then they will have to spend a lot of money in order to comply with this new sign ordinance. About 80% of the businesses in East Ridge, when I go up and down, it doesn't really meet the standard of this new sign ordinance. Enforcing them is going to be a challenge also. So the second thing is, we can basically work with the city and, the leaders that, we can come up with some sort of a solution that will, basically, help the city and the business owners without spending a lot of money to comply with this ordinance. Right, so that's what I have for now. So please consider making a few changes. I have the bullet points in there, so please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I was going to make a comment, but is there anyone else who would like to come forward? Oh, okay. No one else? So I've had some discussions with, and heard the concerns. Well, let me just go ahead, if we don't have anybody else. Is there any, council, do you have anything? Because I'll just save mine until we get to the ordinance.
One of the things that was pointed out to me that, and we had talked about it because Mike and Mr. Miller were kind enough to ride with me up and down Ringo Road, is Ace Hardware, which my husband does a lot of business with Ace Hardware. He's been there twice today. When you look at their storefront, they have all those things out there. And one of the things I don't want to do is hurt their business. So when he's talking about grandfathering some of this in, maybe we need to look at that and give them a little, maybe more time to get things situated or whatever. But I really want to look at this and do it right. I want us to make sure that we don't have to come back and revisit this at a later date.
I'll go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna make a motion to table it and maybe have more discussion at some point.
Yeah, I've got to close the public hearing, but I can do that here in a second. But since you went ahead and mentioned that, yeah, that was what I was thinking too. The intent was for the safety and well-being. I don't think there was any intent to try to hurt or damage or reduce revenue or sales of any of the businesses, but it was for the safety and security of not only the business owners, the customers that are visiting, seeing visibility of getting in, looking in and seeing what's going on in the business in the case there was an emergency of any type. So I don't want the business to think that this was anything other than just a safety precaution that we were looking at. But I definitely understand that, and I personally don't have a problem with, grandfathering. I understand that some of these businesses have already built displays and racks and things like that, but as this bullet point, Mr. Patel mentioned, if we did put something in for new construction, so you don't impact the existing businesses and establishments, but going forward, if they're remodeling over 50 or 75%, something like what we do in their code department, or any new construction, then we could maybe apply some of this safety parameters into this ordinance. But that was my thoughts. And if there's no one else want to comment, I'll go ahead and close go ahead.
Well, I just have a question for Mr. Howe. Mr. Patel had mentioned grandfathering people in. If we were to grandfather these businesses in, and say Mr. Patel wanted to sell one of his businesses to another owner, would that grandfather be transferred as well, or would the new owner be subject to the ordinance?
That's something that would have to be placed into the ordinance as well, some sort of language in that.
A sale of a property from one person to another, as long as the property is not rehabilitated more than 50%, it still remains as a non-conforming
Okay.
still have that same status.
Okay.
Unless I had the store that did not conform and I sold it to you, and you did more than 50% renovations to it, well, then you would have to adhere to it. If it's just a sell, you retain that, that's the 50% rule we have in our code.
Something I also like to mention, this is, in this body, already did this in the packaged liquor store ordinance, for safety regulations, when, when that ordinance, 1139 for the packaged liquor stores was adopted, no signage whatsoever can go in front of the storefronts for the safety and public, or for the safety of the public, and, fire and police as well, so they need to see in these buildings.
Another point that Mr. Patel had brought up is the enforcement aspect of this. Seeing how, when you drive up and down Ringgold Road, a majority of the businesses do not meet the standards within this ordinance, that seems like it would be burdensome on the city as well, for having to dedicate manpower to going out to all of this. Think we're up for that?
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but I guess I may jump in.
Go ahead.
If we grandfathered in, then there is no, it would only then new business, and if there was a new business or a remodel, he's gonna get a building permit. So then that's the mechanism where they would actually, am I correct on that?
Right, that's correct.
So
Mayor.
there wouldn't be any policing if we put the grandfather, into the actual, ordinance.
I suppose one of my concerns with it is, with the grandfathering aspect, is the lighting. Some of the lighting in these stores is hazardous. I mean, my wife, suffers from astigmatism, driving down Ringgold Road at night, just turns everything into a giant blur. On the other hand, so does my mother-in-law, which makes me kind of want to keep it in there, but in seriousness,
Well, to that, go ahead, finish.
I,
That's different. I think what we're talking about grandfathering in is the signage and the display in the window, that's not grandfathering
okay,
the lighting.
that really clarifies it for me,
Okay.
thank you.
Correct?
Yes, I believe what that PJ was talking about, it would be difficult for them to shift around merchandise and other things inside these stores.
And
because
construction, moving.
Yes, because the storefronts, they're small. They're small. Some of these buildings are small. And so that would put a burden on the owners to move this stuff around.
Yeah, and I'd like to just let all of the business owners that are here, I know Mr. Patel was the only one that got up and spoke, but the room is full of business owners of East Ridge in here, and I'd like to thank them for coming out and sitting here. I always encourage citizens to come to these meetings and let their voices be heard, but especially in something like this, which requires nuance, and there's a lot of unintended consequences that some of us on the council have never owned or operated any of these kind of businesses, and I appreciate them coming out here and willing to have a good faith conversation about safety and regulation for our citizens and our public safety enforcement officers. So just them being willing to come out here and having a conversation with us means a lot to the council. Well, to me personally, I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, but I'm sure that they all appreciate everybody being here.
Absolutely. It's valuable insight. And I believe Mr. Patel has spoken probably for most everyone that's in the audience, from my understanding. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Way we got it wrote up right now, I am dead against it, but I have a few questions. For instance, the stores up here that's got the mannequins up in the windows, where all the windows are on the mannequins and the dresses hanging on the inside of the windows where you still can't see, are they gonna have to move them? And then another thing too, the flashing lights and things, are we just talking about the windows, or can we put them up above the windows on the facade and on the block and in between the pillars? So
Storefront lighting would pertain strictly to the storefront window area at this point, inside and
words, we
outside
can-
doors and all, yes.
so we can move it up above, up on top of the facade and boat them up there?
That's something that council would have to discuss to, limit the lighting on a building at that point.
Now, I did notice that the Planning Commission recommendations had the word merchandise included in the language. However, I don't see it in this copy of the draft.
So the merchandise was discussed when we actually went out there and we were looking at, individual store panes, front windows. We looked at a storefront in a whole. We originally had storefront signage. Merchandise was then added after we went out and looked at it and, possibly. And that's why I referred to it in the notes here that, that's something that council might want to look at amending as well.
Sure. I think the inclusion of the merchandise language is primarily what would cause the most burden to the business owners, especially like Ace Hardware and a few of these car parts stores like O'Reilly's and Advance, where they have shelving right there along the window. That removing that product from that space, not only doesn't showcase their product that they can sell, it removes space that they can actually harbor product and lessens their ability to make money. And I think that it's good that we don't have that language in there, and I appreciate your efforts to make sure that it wasn't burdensome on these business owners.
Yeah, when we looked at it in a whole, we didn't want to place any type of distance on merchandise, say 18 inches from the storefront. So like O'Reilly's, all their merchandise is pushed back. We still have a walking path in the front, and the store's still visible from Ringo Road. So that was something we didn't want to put in there merchandise can be so far from a front storefront window.
Yeah, like Ace Hardware, I'm a sucker for grabbing one of those plants on the way in.
Sure.
So, thanks for that.
Now, is this just for Ringo Road, or is this all commercial districts?
Commercial, office, and manufacturing.
Greens Lake Road,
Anywhere there's zoning of that nature, Mr. Cagle, yes, sir.
okay. But then, like you said, if it's not being able to be seen, like it's kind of in the background, the backyard or something, I'm gonna put it, but then they don't fall under these guidelines?
These guidelines strictly for storefronts only.
Front of stores.
Another one of Mr. Patel's recommendations was to have 100% visibility for the entrance and exit doors. I think that's a good inclusion because it gives anybody approaching the door a 180 view into the store, and we have at least one portal of the store frontage that is completely clear. And I think that's a great recommendation. If we could have that included in the final draft, that would be great.
All right, if there's. Yes, I haven't closed the public hearing, so you can come up if you'll give us your name and address, please.
We need you to speak into the mic so we can pick you up. Thank
Beth
you.
Watson, East 5611 Ringgold Road. I am not good at public speaking. I'm with the Home Plate Bar and Grill. So the bar itself has been around 30 years. So everybody that sees our storefront, it's all black. So would that require us to remove all the tint from our windows to see inside the bar as well?
So you'll have a lot of these businesses nowadays, when you get a large storefront, and I hate to get into code requirements here, but energy code, when you have a large section of windows, depending on your HVAC system you got on there, these windows actually have a low E factor to them, so they have to be tinted to keep the building, energy compliant. So that's something that we haven't visited at this point.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be
Well,
included.
that's not included in
Yeah,
this.
the tint is like, it's so dark, and we have tried to have it removed, but nobody will touch it. So then the lights on the outside of our bar are super bright, just so you can see it, because it makes the whole storefront dark in that shopping center. So that's why I was just curious. Fall back into it, because you can't see.
Are yours the canopy lights?
They're strip lights that go around the patio. And then I have flashing lights as well. Like strobe light almost on the corners.
Strobe lights would be eliminated.
We had talked about leaving the canopy lights in.
Canopy was removed from the wording of it, so that would be.
Part of it was I mentioned your place.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I need.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
well, she brought this up. Now, her place is not the only one that's, all the windows have been, hers were blacked out. I've seen some that's whited out. And so, are we gonna have to word that in there to correct that, or?
Businesses like the Cork and Bottle and East Ridge Wine and Spirits, you'll notice that there's two different tinings on those windows. Whereas Cork and Bottle didn't have a lot of storefront windowing, they weren't required to get, low E windows, whereas the East Ridge Liquor, massive storefront, you'll notice those windows are a lot more tinted because of the energy code requirements, and that's strictly why that's in there. But no, Mr. Cagle, that has not been introduced as far as that type of.
Neither one of those stores is one I mentioned. Now, let's
No,
go ahead.
sir, I realize that, but yeah, we're talking about, if the lighting, the film itself on these windows, they weren't addressed in this ordinance.
There's
these
one
amendments.
period that you can't see through, period. And it's one of the last businesses that done it, so.
And we also talked about blinds.
We did.
However, if we did amend this to do the doorway, then would that impact that whited out and invisible? Or not, because it's not signage?
It's not signage, but I mean,
And so it wouldn't be addressed?
yeah.
Okay. So those cases wouldn't be addressed currently with the way this is written?
So you're saying that would require a separate ordinance because it doesn't pertain to signs?
Or amending this one as we progress through it?
Thank you.
No, but it's still pertaining to, not being able to see in for the safety factor.
Correct. All right, if no one else, I will close this public hearing. And then we'll move into the actual ordinance itself, ordinance 1205.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend ordinance number 1028 to add an additional section thereto, being section 111 of Article 6, supplemental regulations and exceptions in the East Ridge zoning ordinance.
Thank you, sir. All right, council, we had the public hearing, we had some discussion. I'll entertain a motion for ordinance 1205.
If the council is in agreement, I'd like to make a motion to table this and get this amendment in the proper form, or the ordinance in the proper form, and bring it back.
I second it.
Okay, she said, do you make that motion?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Haynes to table this. Do we table that do we want to table it to the next meeting, or do we
It'll-
want to set
Well, it'll just stay on the table until
till we pull it?
off.
Okay. So we got Vice Mayor Haynes made the motion and Councilmember Cagle seconded. So do we have any discussion on that?
I'd like to be able to, see a copy of it before it's brought back in front of us up here for us to review it before.
So, okay, so we've got some points that's been discussed here, so,
We can incorporate the points that was brought up by Mr. Patel and what we have assembled here from what the council has mentioned, and send a copy to you, let you take a look at it, and when you're all ready with it, we can bring it back.
bring it off the table. Remember, this is still 2 readings to pass it, so even after the first reading, if we decide that there's still some adjustments we can also amend it in the second reading.
I think what we do too is once we incorporate the changes in here, we send it to Mr. Patel and some of the others that get their input on it. If you're okay with it, we can proceed.
Sounds like a plan. Any other discussion?
And
Roll call, oh, go
I
ahead.
want to thank Mr. Patel for putting this in writing for us so that
Yes.
we can review it.
Did you get a copy of it?
I did not know.
I'll give you a mine if you want it.
All right.
Got it? Okay. All right, if no other discussion, roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes,
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. All right, that ordinance is tabled. All right, thank you. And yes, thank you all very much for being here. We will move to item C, ordinance number 1206.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council making and fixing the annual appropriations of the several departments of the city for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we reviewed this budget at the meeting back in May 9th, 2024. For the audience's information. I'll go through some of the highlights. This would be the budget that would start July 1st, 2024 and run to June 30th, 2025. The budget proposes no rate or permit license increases. The budget does not draw upon the fund balance. It maintains a healthy fund balance projected at $12,739,909. It does not increase the millage rate. The millage rate stays the same at 1.25. The budget proposes a 3% cost of living adjustment for all employees and a 10% increase in medical insurance premiums. The budget funds a performance evaluation program where every employee on their anniversary date of hire will be eligible to receive a merit increase of 0 to 2% based on their performance. The budget proposes a promotion of 3 existing firefighters to firefighter engineer. We also are adding an addition of an arena attendant for the arena and the addition of a groundskeeper for Camp Jordan Park. Those positions will be funded starting January 1st, 2025. We're doing a reclassification of a part-time animal control officer to full-time, bringing us from 3.5 to 4 full-time. We should be opening up a new animal shelter in the middle to the end of July, and that's a heck of a lot larger than what we have, and will be almost necessary to have a full-time individual there most of the time. But this proposed budget also eliminates 2 crossing guards, a vacant worker in the streets department, and a vacant worker in the traffic control department. It also has a raise in pay for all sworn police officers in an inverted graduated amount, with police officers to receive the amount of $3,822, and the high ranks to receive a lesser amount, and this is to be commensurate with and competitive with other Hamilton County cities. The other cities we're talking about is Hamilton County, the cities of Saudi Daisy, Collegedale, Red Bank. What's the other one? Said Saudi, Collegedale, Red Bank, and I guess in Hamilton County. The budget proposes the vehicle and equipment replacements in the general fund capital outlay totaling $517,563. And the CIP fund allocates $1.4 million for next year for street resurfacing. That's kind of a point-by-point brief synopsis of the budget that's before you tonight for consideration for first reading. Second reading would be scheduled, if it passes tonight, second reading would be scheduled for June 27th. I'd entertain any questions anyone has.
All right, council, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1206.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1206.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Tyler and a second by Councilmember Whit. Do we have any discussion?
I'd just like to thank city manager on his dedication to fiscal responsibility and keeping us within a reasonable budget and not having to increase our taxes. And I'm glad to see that our officers are getting a raise. That means a lot to me.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? See none. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance number 1206 approved, first reading. We'll move to item D, ordinance number 1207.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council setting the property tax rate for the fiscal year 2024 at the rate of 1.25 for every $100 of assessed real property in the city of East Ridge.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Miller?
Again, we're staying with the same tax rate, 1.25. We've got a community and business district which is booming, and more housing coming into the city, some more businesses coming in. There is no need. We can stay within that 1.25 and keep the same level of services that we've been providing.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Council, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1207.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1207.
Second?
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Tyler and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion?
Do we know when the next assessment from the assessor's office will be coming through
Next year.
next year?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance number 1207 approved first reading. No tax increase. We'll move to item E, ordinance number 1208.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend the fiscal year 2024 operating budget, ordinance number 1186, by changing the revenues and expenditures of various funds.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Qualls, correct?
Don't have
Good
it in
guess.
front of me. Let me, do you mind if I look at yours? Thank you.
Double duty tonight.
Yes, on the general fund, you'll see that I only did expenditures, and it has a zero effect on the budget, due to, I was able to move money from, transfer out to be able to offset those. In the solid waste, we're doing fund balance, because remember the last garbage sanitation truck we ordered? It came in early, and we had paid half, so I have to amend it for the other half, $153,000. In the capital projects fund, since we just did a bond issue, I had to show where $8 million will be coming in, and we get it before the end of the year. And then I had to show where we will be spending it out. So I had to do that. So that was it.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, council, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1208.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1208.
Second.
A motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Ms. Middleton. I knew I was going to mess up before the end of the meeting.
All right.
Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance number 1208 approved. First reading. We'll move to item F, resolution number 3558.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council approving a bid for the installation of the city seal in the atrium of City Hall.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McAllister.
Good evening. Get myself together. All right. City administration is asking for the approval from the mayor and council regarding a bid that was opened on February the 20th, 2024, regarding the atrium sill project that will be located here at City Hall in the atrium. The maintenance department has been looking at either completing a demolition or repair on the existing fountain in City Hall. However, the parts are no longer available, so we've looked at moving forward with a separate project that would include a complete demolition of the existing fountain and then to replace that with the city sill that will be water jetted into ceramic tile and placed at floor level.
Thank you, sir. All right, council, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3558.
Resolution, a motion to approve resolution number 3558.
Second.
Have a motion approved by Vice Mayor Haynes and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
This luxury tile, are they in Chattanooga or East Ridge?
East Ridge.
They are in East Ridge.
They are.
And we're not going to use them.
Unfortunately, we did contact them. They were our first pick, but they are unable to get the product that we need for this project. We want the seal to be water jetted into ceramic tile, and they offer somewhat of a, it was like not necessarily a sticker, but it was was it a vinyl?
Vinyl.
It's like a pill and stick that would go over the existing floor, so eventually it would, pill up over time after people walk over it.
The water jet is a better way to do it. It will last decades, where the other one would probably the last 5 years and start peeling in certain areas. We want to make it look professional, and the one that, the firm that we, or the vendor that we are proposing would do that.
Any other questions? See none. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Abstain.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3558 approved. We'll move to item G, resolution number 3559.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with ASA Engineering and Consulting for land survey and site design services for the East Ridge Community Center Local Parks and Recreation Fund Grant Project.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Miller? No.
Nope, I got it.
Council. Sorry.
City administration as well as Parks and Rec have been working together on the local Parks and Recreation Fund project over at the community center, and we recently entered into an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates to provide grant administration and design services for this project. However, TDEC came back with an additional requirement that would allow or require us to complete an existing conditions survey to include underground utility assets, preliminary construction plans, as well as a grading and drainage plan. Therefore, we contacted ASA Engineering to see if they were able to complete this task, and they were. Therefore, we were able to request a proposal that is included in your packet. However, Councilmember Cagle did point out an error in the proposal that's dated June 10th. So I will have that corrected if approved, and then we will move forward with getting these completed.
Thank you, sir. Council, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3559.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 3559.
Second.
A motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Tyler. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The project we got going on over by the school, they've already done the drainage survey, locating all the pipes underground. So ASA is going to tie this all into there, so we won't have a,
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
sir.
Correct.
They're also doing all that work on the, for the project of the pavilion.
And technically, some of the drainage plan has already been completed for the community center area with the other plan. However, the community center is now considered a protected area by the state. That was also a requirement of this project, so we have to have a survey on file specifically for the community center.
Any other questions? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Qualls.
Vice Mayor Haynes,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
yes.
Councilmember Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes, resolution number 3559 approved. That is all we have on the main agenda for tonight. So we'll move to the last item, discussion of tentative agenda for June 27th, 2024 council meeting. Under old business, we'll have ordinance number 1205, an ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend ordinance 12, oh, that was the one that's actually
Table.
tabled. Yep, I wrote that down and then read it anyway, so that is tabled. So the next one we move to is ordinance 1206, the ordinance of the East Ridge City Council setting the property tax rate for the fiscal year 2024 for the rate of $1.25 for every $100 of assessed real property in the city of East Ridge. That would be the second and final reading. Any discussion, council? I see none. The next item underneath old business is ordinance number 1207, an ordinance of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee, making and fixing the annual appropriations of the several departments of the city for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025. This would be the second and final reading. Any additional questions, comments there? I see none. The last item on the old business, ordinance number 1208, an ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend the fiscal year 2024 operating budget, ordinance number 1186, by changing the revenues and expenditures of various funds. This will be the second and final reading that Ms. Qualls covered just a moments ago. Any additional questions at this time? I see none. So we'll move to the new business. Unnumbered resolution, approval of Victus proposal for sports facility feasibility study for Camp Jordan Park. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. We have finalized a date on this, just as of yesterday. Victus will be coming to town on the 27th of June. They'll be giving a presentation of their sports facility feasibility study for Camp Jordan Park that evening. And then the following morning, they will be meeting with the mayor's office, county mayor's office, and his staff to give a presentation to them. Since the county did provide funding for this study, we only felt it right that they had the opportunity to hear a presentation of the results of the study. You have all received the executive summary and the large draft report on that, so feel free to contact me with any of your comments or questions on it. But that will be the presentation for the next council meeting.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Council? I see none at this time. All right, the next item is another unnumbered resolution, approval of assessments for McBride School. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Back in January, the city council discussed the subject of what we want to do with McBride School, rehabilitate it, revitalize it, and/or tear it down, and/or rebuild it. There were three assessments that I asked the council to approve. First would be an asbestos and lead paint assessment on the former school. That has been completed by S&ME. They're looking at minimal asbestos on the flooring, very little lead paint. Probably looking at somewhere between $150,000 to $175,000 for abatement of that. The second was an assessment of the former school by a structural engineer. That has been completed by PDM Engineering Associates LLC. You have received their report on that. The third one was an assessment of the former school by a contractor. That was completed by BP Construction. So we have all that information. The report from PDM Engineering is considered an important one since it details the structural integrity of the building and details the various building components' current conditions, as well as the cost that would, the probable cost that would be both immediate and future corrective actions to bring the building into conformance with the codes. This would include areas as pavements, structural frame, building envelope, interiors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, vertical support, another word for elevators, and life safety and ADA. So I'll have a lot more information to you, but this is ready to go forth if you so desire for June 27th.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions, comments? I see none. All right, the next item is another unnumbered resolution, approval to purchase a used pickup truck for the fire department. Mr. Williams, Chief Williams.
Yes, Mayor and council members. The fire department sold a 2010 Rosenbauer Rescue engine through Compass Auction Company. This vehicle had been declared surplus prior to the sale. The city received a check from Compass for approximately $37,000 for this engine. The fire department had requested 2 used pickups in the upcoming budget. However, only one was able to be funded. I'm requesting that the fire department use $30,000 of this amount for the purchase of a used pickup truck to replace one of our fire investigators' vehicles. His vehicle is currently a 2012 Ford Taurus with 127,000 miles that's in poor condition and was handed down by the police department several years ago. This Ford Taurus will then be declared a surplus through council and then sold through auction with Compass as well.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, council? I see none. All right, we'll move to the next item, another unnumbered resolution, approval of masonry sand bids for Park and Rec. Ms. Stiles?
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Parks and Rec Department will accept sealed bids for masonry sand for the top dressing of our fields at Camp Jordan Park. Those were actually opened yesterday, and we will present those bids to the City Council on June 27th.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, any questions?
This for soccer and softball?
Yes, soccer fields and our baseball fields, especially at 5 through 8 where it holds the water so much in those 4 outfields. We top dress those 4 fields, the outfields of those 4 fields, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? See none. The next is a numbered resolution for approval of fall, winter uniform bids for Parks and Rec. Ms. Stiles?
Yes, at this time, the Parks and Rec Department is soliciting sealed bids for our fall and winter sports seasons, which I just went over earlier in the meeting. We will open those sealed bids next Wednesday, June 19th, here at 2:30. And I think we've already had like 4 or 5 different companies like reach out and get clarification on different things. And I will be able to present those to council on June 27th so that we're ready to order come July 1.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, any questions? See none. The next item is another unnumbered resolution, sale of flood property on Jordan Run Road. Mr. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm bringing this before the council to ascertain whether or not you want to entertain the sale of city property. We have a request from a resident that lives on Jordan Run Road. He wants to purchase a 5.89 acre parcel of land that is owned by the city of East Ridge and is entirely in the flood zone, which basically means it can never be built on. He understands that. He wants to purchase it, be able to put a fence off and protect his property against some of the neighboring apartment complexes. I inquired of department staff whether we had any use of that land, if it was, or any potential or future use of that land, and everybody replied no. So if the city wishes to dispose of the flood property, the city council was first going to need to declare the property surplus, and then we would need to obtain an appraisal on that. I've talked to an appraiser. He's given me a number. I've told the resident who is looking to acquire that property, he would have to pay for the appraisal, and he would have to pay what the appraisal cost would come out at being. He basically said he would pay for the appraisal, and if the cost of the 5.89 acres is purchasable or affordable to him, he'll go ahead and acquire that. So at this time, I'm asking the council if you want to declare this surplus property and go ahead and go through a process of obtaining an appraisal on it and selling it to him since he's the adjoining property owner.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions?
I just have one, and it's for Mrs. Qualls. Any sale of this property, what account would that money go into? The fund balance, or?
It will go into the general fund, and then it will, at the end of the year, roll into the fund balance.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Is this the property that's tied into the last 4 soccer fields that we built down
No.
there?
No,
All right.
absolutely not. No.
Could you explain where the property is then?
It's, yeah, this is at the end of Jordan Run Road. There's 5.89 parcel. It's all in the floodplain. On the north side is Chickamauga Creek. On the east side, there's more land that's owned by, I believe it's the city or but Further to the east, we would get into our 55 acres that we did the conveyance several years ago.
Oh, so it's nowhere where I'm talking about, it's down on the other end.
No, it's actually where the conveyance land is, this land is west.
To the very dead end of Jordan Run.
I'll have a map for you. I'll get a map for you on that.
Is it by Dogwood?
Yes, it's by Dogwood.
Down in behind the last house built out there on the left. Down there where our last, one of our city managers built a house.
One me. Was it?
Yes,
Yes?
okay,
I drove it out, that's my neighborhood.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
that's where I was thinking
Am
it
I
was,
right
but
on the directions where it's located? That's what I
I
thought.
didn't know if it come on around there and touched the last thing that we built on down there. And before we do this, I would like a notice to be sent out to the rest of the neighbors, see if they might be interested in buying part of that 5.9 acres instead of one man landlocking the whole thing in behind their yards.
They don't enjoy the land, though.
They don't enjoy, so
He's the
that's
only
the
one
only,
that, he's the only one that abuts
Yeah,
that
it's-
land.
Yeah.
None of the other residents abut that land. They have
Then
houses.
circle back behind theirs. It's all the way to, if you're looking at his, it's all the way to the right
Yes.
of his property.
So if you come into Jordan Run and you go all the way down, you come into a dead-end cul-de-sac, okay? So you would have the Smiths are up here on the right, and you circle, and it's that next house literally that would come into the first left there in that cul-de-sac. And the driveway goes straight down, and if I'm correct, it's basically the property from here straight over to the fence of where Dogwood comes in and connects back to the creek. So, because most of the neighbors from that area down to, I think where, Mike, Flynn, where they had already bought their property back to the creek at one point, where like me, when I first bought my house from the Lances, we were told, hey, we could buy the property and we couldn't, so that's all, the cities, so.
that's what I was remembering, because
Yeah.
I knew some of them come up here wanting to buy the land to keep
Yeah.
this from moving on around
Yeah, so
with
the
soccer
last
fields.
soccer field that was built was actually landed right behind my house, which we don't have to mow now, so we're good.
Any other questions? All right, the last item is another unnumbered resolution, approval of change order number 3 for East Ridge Animal Shelter, extension of 5 days to contract time. Miller?
Okay, yes. We had the contract with J.C. Curtis Construction to construct a 4,800 square foot animal shelter. We had a progress meeting on April 4th about extending the sewer line on the east side of the building for future expansion. We have built this animal shelter in a longitudinal manner going from north to south. The south end will lend itself to being expanded to add another 20 or 10 on each side, animal shelters, if and when the time comes. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be 5 years, but we build it so in maybe a decade or 2 decades, when we start increasing our population in the city and increasing that of dogs and animals, that we have a functional animal shelter that can be expanded. On the east side, they're going to get ready to pour the sidewalk and complete all that work. I went ahead and approved the addition, extending the sewer line in that same exact location, so that we put the sewer line in now and then build the sidewalk and not have to dig the sidewalk up at the proper time when we wanted to expand the center. That money comes out of the allocated allowance of $3 million that we have for this project. The second one dealt with, it pertains to connecting the sewer line down Stone Street from the animal shelter to McBrien. That was discussed. We abandoned the idea of connecting the sewer line because we don't necessarily have the fall and the sewer gravity to take it from the animal shelter all the way down to McBrien. So we are going to connect north of McBrien, north of the animal shelter and connect it within 10 to 15 feet in the Stone Street where we can put a grinder pump there to discharge into the public sewer elevation. That's going to be a cost of about $32,000. Again, that would be charged to the allocated allowance. Both the extension of the sewer line and the connection with the grinder sewage pump, they're requesting 5 days be added to the contract, and that's what this is about. Their change order, what they call contract change order number 3 for the extension of sewer line as well as grinder pump. There's no increase in the cost. Okay, this is coming out of the allowance, and it just adds 5 days to the project. That's what you're voting on tonight, or we'll be voting on June 27th.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, council? I see none. Is there any other items of business we should add to the tentative agenda for the 27th at this time? I see none. Thanks, everyone, for coming. We appreciate your input. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.